Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome back to Toffee TV. We are back in the lovely surroundings of the Windsor. It's just me and Baz here today. No guests, unfortunately.
They've been rubbish lately, that's why.
No one wants to be with us, do they? No one wants to be our mates, but we just thought we'd get the show out nice and quick.
I thought we'd have loads, to be honest, because of the weekend.
Yeah, I thought we'd have loads of people knocking on the windows wanting to be in the show. All those angers on. We'd all want to be here. But we will have some guests coming up. We've got some exciting news on some guests coming up in the next few weeks, but we'll leave that. No, we'll create the tension, build up the tension, build up the excitement on Twitter. If you are on Twitter,
Are they phenomenal?
They are phenomenal. Everything's phenomenal about this club. If you are on Twitter, make sure you follow us at Toffee TV1. We are there. You'll find us posting not only these videos, but really, really rubbish videos that we've robbed off other people online. Basically, that's all we do. We've got a win.
Hang on. I posted Atsu scoring yesterday that I'd recorded.
I'd already posted
Mine
it,
was
though.
better. Yours was like blurry.
All right.
You didn't post it of his dance, did you?
No.
Me.
You just post pictures of Laura Merrin, but we'll leave that there. We've got a win to talk about. Finally, it's been 2 months. 2 months. We've had hardly any shows in that time as well. Like we just won and then just cut off any contact.
Because we just didn't know whether that was us, did we? We've had Christmas, New Year, transfer windows come and gone, everything since we last won. But
2 months. That's ridiculous. 2 months, and we were all thinking, it'll be the Merseyside Derby. That's when we'll get our win.
Yeah.
But we won. We won at Palace. Yes, thankfully.
First time we beat them since they come back.
Well, we did a hangout last week. You know, on Google Hangouts. Make sure you check them out. We try and do them every single week. If you want to be a guest, got no chance because
we can't get them on.
Because we can't get any guests.
We don't know how to get them on. But we have plenty, don't we?
Plenty of people want to come on. If you want to come on, again, make sure you're on Twitter. Let us know when you come on. We'd like to have guests.
And you've got to get in our circles on Google Plus because that seems to
be the page, Toffee TV, the page. Got to do that as well. You've got to be in our circles, and we'll get you on. We were on last week, and we were talking about this game. And it was probably off the back of the West Brom game a little bit, saying where West Brom had come, they'd been very professional about how they wanted to set up and just get that point. And we both felt if we went to Crystal Palace, set up like we weren't going to get beat, then maybe, we could snatch a point and maybe a little bit more. And thankfully, it looks like Roberto Martinez watches our hangouts. He can't get involved. I mean, we've tried to send him emails, but he looks like, he watches on his two phenomenal tellies. His missus is watching Emmerdale on one, and on the other he's got those on. And it
I honestly think it's been the other way around. I think he's been watching Emmerdale and his missus has been watching us. But,
maybe that's been the problem. Maybe he's been like watching these games of players and buying his eyes been sneaking over to Hollyoaks. Oh, what's going on there? Keeping an eye on Hollyoaks, keeping an eye on what's going on. But it looks like that he set out anyway, certainly to grab. Just be tight, just to not get beat, which is the fundamental first point of any Premier League game, I think, when you're managed by David Moyes. But obviously Roberto Martinez has took that on board and did the same thing.
Something looks like it's changed, doesn't it, in the last couple of weeks? And we did speak last week about possibly being more compact and trying to play on the counter-attack, which is something they've done to us, actually, Palace in the 2 games that they've won here in the last 6 months or so, or whatever it was. And so it was quite interesting to see Everton start like that. I mean, I think the biggest thing when you seen the team sheet was they looked a lot of balance. It's something we spoke about all season, that the teams look lopsided or there hasn't been any balance. And I think the team we picked at the weekend looked a lot more balanced than having, than the nemesis that is Aidan McGeady back in the side. A lot of people even got cameramen shaking their heads when I mentioned his name, but I think the thing with Aidan McGeady is he'll go and try and play wide, he'll go and try and hook that touchline and give Everton a little bit of width that I think they've been missing. So I think when you see that team, it looked a little bit more balanced and a bit more like there was a game plan rather than we're just going to play everyone wherever they want to.
It's interesting because, if anyone said, we're going to swap Aidan McGeady for Ross Barkley, but as you mentioned there, it's balance, isn't it? And that's what we've been lacking. And it's unfortunate Ross had to come off the side, but it probably was the best option in the circumstances. In a way, he's been a luxury we've been carrying that we can't really afford. Not only not being able to afford in just his general style, but the way he's been playing you are carrying a player that you just can't afford to carry, and sometimes you do have to dig in. And okay, Aidan McGeady's not everyone's cup of tea, and he does make some really, really silly decisions. You know, certainly there was one towards the end of this game that was very, very silly. But as you're talking about, balance, keeping a width, making the pitch wider so that the opposition have to change their game plan, because when everything does go down the middle, it feels like Everton are very easy to stop. You just congest the middle of the park, and it will just stop Ross Barkley from being the player he is. And he's not in great form at the moment. And as we've seen from our neighbours over the park, sometimes you've got to look after your young players. Sometimes you have to give them a holiday away. I mean, Ross Barkley, lucky enough, just come back from Qatar with the rest of the squad, but sometimes young players do need to be looked after, and people will be thinking, you know, or might make a big deal out of Ross Barkley not playing. But I'm saying, you know, I'm looking at it and thinking he needs that break. He needs to be left out the side, maybe just to look at it at the bigger picture and think, well, I'll sit down this week and next week I might be back, and I know now what I need to do to improve.
Yeah, is he suffering from second season syndrome? He probably is. People are marking him a lot tighter than they were last year. I think the expectation on him has been massive this year, probably from us as well. You know, I haven't seen how good he was last year. Knowing what he's got, you just expect that every week from him. And he is young in terms of games. He's not, you know, he's 21. He's not young in terms of some players. You know, Wayne Rooney had probably played 3 times the amount of games Ross has played at that age. But and certainly in an Everton side that is looking for someone to carry them, I think the expectation's been too great at times. And I think you're right. I think when Everton play narrow, us other opposition teams have done, the likes of West Ham and teams like that have done. You know, we've seen Stoke do it here, Hull do it here. Just come and put everyone in the middle and say, right, try and pass through us. We haven't been quick enough, good enough to be able to do that. Ross has suffered as a result of that. And then people have got on his back, you know. I mean, he's one of those at the moment with the fans. If he plays, not all of the fans, you know, but there's a section of people who want to berate him whether he plays. And then if he isn't in the team, they want to have a go at the manager because he's not in the team. I don't think the rest will do him any harm. Yeah. The thing about it is, and I think this is where I would kind of blame Roberto Martinez for a bit of the stuff that's gone on this season, is he's been too slow to pull people out of the team when they're not performing. And I'm talking about the goalkeeper, who has had a nightmare of a season. Apart from Wolfsburg at home, he's had an absolute nightmare of a season. He's been a fault for at least 50% of the goals. He was left in. You know, this Stan was played games, 3-4 games too many when John Stones was still fit. Yeah, I can go through the whole team, excuse me, because all of them at some stage have played well below par but have still played in. And the other thing that Ross has suffered from is the great, you know, try and fit 6 number 10s in the same side. You know, and Stephen Naismith, you know, this year he's everyone's cup of tea, everyone loves him and all that, but there's been a lot of games when Naismith's been woeful. Just runs around a lot like Stakwilesi, but has offered nothing, and people won't. It's quite mad now because people won't have a bad word said against them, whereas 12 months ago you couldn't have said a good word about him without people getting on your back. So I think everyone has got to take their share of the blame, and at this moment in time, Arrest will, I think you're right, I think Arrest will do. But
the side is obviously set up, and Naismith was another part of that. The side was
played well Saturday.
Yeah, the side was set up not to lose this game. You know, the back four, all present from the last few games, Besic, Barry, they were all in there to make it very, very hard for the opposition. And then Naismith as well, defending from the front, you know, dropping into that midfield, but also creating that threat and being a nuisance. And the amount of times you see him where there'll be a 50-50 ball bouncing around the halfway line or just inside the Everton half, and he's there winning that ball, you know, creating the space, giving Everton a chance where maybe Ross wouldn't be there. And I think what was important on Saturday was the team was set up not to lose the game and try and sneak it. And obviously, you know, a great help was going in front within 2 minutes of the game. You can't ask for ending better. Again, Naismith, good work from Morales in the first place, getting him, you know, Naismith getting in down the channel, pulling the ball back, and Lukaku, a lot of people have been critical of him this season. A lot of people think he doesn't get into the areas he got in for this goal, but he's in the right place. You know, that's where the striker's got to be, haven't he? You know, the keeper palms it, but he's there making sure he gets a fly on it, basically, to make sure it goes in. They are strikers' goals. They're what Gary Lineker made a career out of. You know, Ian Wright made a career out of. Shearer made a career out of. Scoring those kind of goals. They're the dirty, gritty goals that mean when you get to the end of the season, you get 20 goals a season. You know, they're the ones.
That's what my criticism of Lukaku has been. He's 21, of course. He's got a lot of goals in, you know, at such a young age. But for me, certainly in the early part of the season, he wasn't in them areas. If he doesn't make that run into the box there, into that area, that ball gets played across, keeper parries it, and they clear it, and he stood on the edge of the box, which he would have been done 2 months ago. And I think you see Naismith go over to him saying brilliant movement, because that's where he's got to be. When he's up, if you're in a 2 as a striker and you've got a partner, then fair enough. If you like to drop off and pick the ball up and run a plays like he does, your partner's got to be the one that gets in that 6-yard box. But when you're the main threat, you've got to be the man who's in there. And on Saturday, he was in there near the end. We've seen him almost get a second late on. And they're the zones that he's got to get in as the centre forward. And it's a great, I think it's John Stones that plays the ball through. Great run by Naismith off the shoulder of the defender around the corner. And that puts the ball in. And if Ron makes them runs, 9 times out of 10, 4 or 5 times a game, he'll score goals. And you know, it was a great start, exactly what we needed. And from there on, you know...
Well, it probably changed their game plan in a way, because I bet you they didn't want to... I don't know, they probably didn't want to come out too much in the first half. I mean, Palace are a team, and they've come from behind, and in a lot of the games so far, that was a bit of a worry when we went 1-0 down. They've won the last few games from coming from behind, but they're a team, I think, that likes to play on the break as well. So the fact that we'd scored that goal meant they had to come out straight away, and that helped us. I think, okay, both, you know, the next 5-10 minutes after the goal, it was very, very hairy. I mean, you know, they were putting a lot of crosses into the box, they were creating a lot of chances, there was a lot of last-ditch defending. But,
which has been missing all season.
Yeah, but once we coped with that, and I thought that the rest of the game we were pretty comfortable. We defended like we defended last season. The ball came to the box, we won it the first time. You know, that I think that's been a big criticism of the Everton defence this season, is they've not dealt with the first ball. So a lot of teams have been able to score with the second goal. I think Palace are a good team for doing that, but I think we dealt with the first ball pretty well most of the game.
I think those 10 minutes after we scored, but obviously with the worst 10 minutes in the whole game for us, because they had 3 or 4 really good chances. And I think sometimes when you see a period out like that, it gives you that belief that we can, you know, we're not as weak as what we were. I think the keeper's made a massive difference. I know he's still flapping at the odd thing, but he's coming and taking crosses, which takes the pressure off the defenders. I think the other thing that was glaringly obvious there, he was, you know, the straight after it when Gale flicks the ball and Jagielka followed the ball back and cleared it off the line. I think he gives that up 6 weeks ago. I think he thinks it's in. And he doesn't, he runs, ends up in the net. And the thing that I picked up from that, he runs straight back out and screamed at Stones that was his man he'd left. And we haven't seen that too much, where they're pulling people in. The keeper's got a couple of them a couple of times, pulling together, pointing. People are making, you know, patting each other on the back. There was one just after it where Stones gets a block on it, you know, which is a goal-bound shot. And they're all making sure they're getting bodies in the way, heading crosses away, like you said. And once you do that, you start to get this belief that you can keep clean sheets. You see, that's 2 clean sheets on the run. It's a big thing, given that, you know, we were a team that were conceding 2 goals a game.
And I think we've defended a lot better lately. I think, you know, we've
since Hull.
Well, I think since John Stones has gone into the back four, and those 4 have played consistently, and the keeper now, I mean, we'll come on to Joel in a minute, but there's more consistency, there's more confidence in that back 4. I think Bessage in front of them has become a little terrier. You know, he's got used to him once he's gone in there. I think Barry as well played well. I think, you know, you were talking earlier about players going out the side. He's a player who, let's be honest, was poor for a number of weeks, but he's played himself back into form, I think.
But the thing about Gareth Barry is when people have jumped straight onto his back, because, you know, that they like to just identify a player and blame him for everything that's gone on. He was rushed back when he was injured, Gareth Barry. When he could walk, he was back in the side at Spurs. And he's been playing with an injury all the way through December. And he was terrible because basically he couldn't run. So he's in an area of the pitch where you need to have legs and be quick. And he was struggling like hell. Now that injury seems to have cleared up, I think he's been really, the last 2 or 3 games, I think he's been excellent for us.
And that, you know, going over to Qatar, that's going to have helped us, and that's going to refresh all the players. I mean, whether we liked it or not, it was definitely worthwhile exercise for all those players to go out there.
Just on that note, I know we were having comments about, you know, them going off in the sun when they should be staying and running in Crosby Beach in the rain and all that. And people were talking about last year. Well, last year worked really well, didn't it? We came back and got beat by Liverpool. But this is a second. This is a winter training camp, if you like, for a short period of time that kind of sets you up for the rest of the season. Things didn't go that badly after the Liverpool game last year, did it? We ended up doing really, really well. So if it can have the same effect now for the second half of the season, then it was booked. And that was planned.
And there was no sun last year, though.
Well, no, they were in Tenerife.
There was no sun. It was cloudy all week, I think. We'll all remember. But that certainly seems to have helped. And that seems to be a unit now. You know, that back four's a unit, the goalkeeper's a unit. Bessage in front of them. Very busy, making sure, you know, getting blocks, getting
good
tackles.
On the ball, though. People just talk about him throwing tackles in, but he's good on the ball. Very, very good.
Slows it down as well, which sometimes he got caught out early again in some games, but I think now he's using the ball quite well. There was a good one where he spun and put the ball down the right wing, and it all seems to happen in slow motion, but he's very clever at that, the way he slows the game down. Sometimes he wants a little bit too much time, but the majority of the time he gets away with it.
He's come out of Hungary. You know, with all due respect to any Hungarian watchers, it's not the greatest league in the world, is it? But he's having to learn on the job, so to speak. I think he's been magnificent.
As you say, they all seem to be defending, throwing bodies in the way, tackles in the way. It's all last ditch. Nobody's crying, as you mentioned. Jagielka cleaning the one off the line. We've seen how close that one. I mean, I'd be interested in how much turning points. I mean, how important that's going to be. You know, clearing the ball off the line like that. I just think they've just defended. They look like they look more up for it, put it that way. They look more hungry for it.
Look like they wanted to keep a clean sheet, wanted to win the game, and you know, Lukaku put in his interview after the game talking about this is the closest we've been as a squad all season. It's helped us getting away, and we cleared things up and cleared the air, and we're all unified and all that. And you know, people have left the club in the last couple of weeks that were maybe a little bit of a problem in terms of unifying everyone, but it's going forward now. They've had that break, they've gone to Crystal Palace. The pressure was on them at the weekend because you're not in good form. You go away, you've just gone out the FA Cup, and you go away to to have when everyone else is getting up and going to work and it's snowing and freezing, they're in Qatar. You come back in a difficult game, you've really got to win that game. If you get beat 2 or 3-0 there, they're in the mire, and given that Crystal Palace were on the same points as us, and it was getting very close to the bottom 4-3, wasn't it? It was a massive game, and like you say, everybody looked as though the thing I liked, I suppose, the best about it was at times it was almost an old-fashioned 4-4-2. Morales was dropping in on one side, McGeady was on the other, Naismith was going up alongside Lukaku, and they looked a little bit flummoxed by that. Certainly after that 10 or 15 minutes, I think. The only other threat they had in the first half was a shot by Punching, which the keeper makes a good save from. Second half, I mean, I don't know about you, obviously the last 5 minutes you're always jittery. But even the injury time, Everton seemed to just manage everything quite well. Naismith very clever, throwing himself forward, winning free kicks and stuff. And I think you're right, I think Everton's seen the pressure off quite well and looked a lot better than we have all season, to be honest with you, defensively.
Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez, and you're watching Toffee TV.
Well, moving on to Joel Robles, I mean, you're talking about Tim Howard, I mean, we've been saying pretty much all season, we have been saying all season, we did think it was time for something to happen, because you look at some of them defeats in this season, a lot of them could have been, a lot avoided a lot different games if mistakes hadn't been made, not only from Howard but his defensive line. But Robles come in, okay, shaky for the first few games, but I think we all felt, give him a few games, give him 5, 6, 7, 8 games, whatever it took, and see where he is then. And what has he played now? I don't know, 6 or 7 games, and he looks so much better, so much more comfortable within himself. I think the fans are a lot more comfortable with him. I think the defence is a lot more comfortable with him. Yes, on Saturday you could say he made a mistake for the one that was cleared off the line by Phil Jagielka. But they're mistakes that a goalkeeper sort of has to learn. The next time that happens, he might realise that forward's can produce something like that. But he's got rid of those sort of basic mistakes, like being able to catch the ball and not being able to catch the ball. You look at him now, and as you mentioned there, in this game, a lot of high crosses came to the box, and he dealt with them all. He didn't punch them, he didn't go for them and miss them. He took them cleanly. You know, he's a big unit, and I tell you what, he looks a bigger unit recently. He looks like he's put a little bit on, and he looks a lot more comfortable. And okay, he only had to make maybe a couple of saves, but it's not always about saves in football. Sometimes it's just about taking the pressure off, coming out, catching the ball, settling things down, and I thought he did that brilliantly. I think last few games he really has made a difference.
Definitely. I mean, I was one who, when people used to sort of say we haven't got a number 2 based on about 3 games, I couldn't understand where they were coming from, because I remember him making a mistake last year against Southampton at home with Ramirez. Shot kind of went through him, but other than that he was fine in the game. Fulham away, he played last year in the cup. I don't blame him for either goal. You know, Howard's made X amounts of mistakes. You know, you just go back. Games like Spurs away when we're winning 1-0, and I think it was Harry Kane has a shot that goes straight at him, and he just pushes it straight out to you know, a Spurs player.
We'll be here all day.
No, but that's
we'll be here all day, and I don't.
I know what I'm saying is we end up losing a game, and there's been too many of them this season. So Howard had to come out, even if it was to come out and just have a rest and you know, get his confidence back up or work a bit harder, I don't know. But Joel has come in. It's got better and better. The West Ham game away in the cup will have done him the world of good, and I think that was the day when everyone kind of went, he's actually very good. He just hasn't had the games because he dealt with Andy Carroll.
But that's it. That wasn't just a day where he made good saves. That was a day where he came and went through back to people, you know, and made sure.
And made himself big and things like that. And goalkeepers, when you're a number 2 goalkeeper, you're waiting for the keeper to get injured or to have a terrible loss of form, and you still mightn't get it. And then you need a manager to be strong then to say that you're going in. And it didn't happen like that. It happened through an injury, but you've then got to hope that your keeper you've replaced is out for long enough for you to play your way into fun, because things like Premier League football, you're only ever going to get up to that level by playing it. You can take crosses all day long in training, but when there's 40,000 there and it's a big game and you know the pressures, you know, this is a fella that won the FA Cup at Wigan, played at Wembley, kept a clean sheet against City, and was, from what I can remember, was absolutely outstanding. Made 2 fantastic saves that day and kept City at bay. So he's a kid.
It will be interesting because, you know, Roberto Martinez has said he wants to get a long-term replacement, and maybe an injury to David Marshall might have just stopped. I mean, there's talk of other goalkeepers, and he says he still wants a long-term.
I think the Norwegian kid in Ireland, who Everton are trying to get very close, you know, to agree.
By the way, we're filming this Monday afternoon. If we've signed them, don't blame us.
No, but I'm saying that even if Nyland signs by deadline day or he doesn't, I think he'll be someone who Everton go back for in the summer. I can see Tim Howard.
See, this is what again, I know there'll be people out there who might be critical of me, but we'll never get a better time to sell Tim Howard, because if he goes back to America, which you would probably think he would, the transfer window, it doesn't shut there till the summer, so he could go any time between now and the summer. He could go at the end of the season. It would make a difference, and the value for him will never get higher. The value, his own value, getting a wage, will never get higher, and the value to a team in the MLS will never get high to this point. So I think it would suit everyone if he was to go. Really, I think having 2 young goalkeepers fighting it out for the number 1, a little bit like Man United did with De Gea and Lindegaard, you know, that wouldn't be a bad thing for me. Now that we've seen Robles, he's definitely not any worse than what Tim Howard is. I know what, I love Tim Howard. I think he's been a great goalkeeper, and I love the fact that he's attracted loads of fans coming over from America. There's actually some coming over this week. I love that. I love that he's created a presence, and he is someone that Americans can look at, and I love that. But I also love Neville Southall, and I knew when his time was up. I love Nigel Martin, and I knew when his time was up. That's football, isn't it? You know, you never want.
You love Steve Simonson, though.
Oh, he was great, great goalkeeper. Although he should stay away from the bookies. You know, players, you love play. Know what I hate? I hate when you've got a player that you have loved and you leave on bad terms because their form is. And that's not always their fault. That's sometimes the manager's fault for leaving them in the team too long. But it's horrible when good players leave on bad terms because they've been left in the team too long.
I think you're right, and I think we've seen that with Sylvain Distin. I think this year, this time being absolutely marvellous for Everton. You know, he's made the odd mistakes. What centre-half hasn't?
We've seen it with, David Weir. Oh, what a brilliant centre-half. We bought him for buttons. And towards the end, it was clear that his legs had gone and Moyes was relying on him too heavily and there was other players there. That's not his fault. And now you...
No, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, this stand for me falls into that bracket. We sold Leicester for 24 million, bought Sylvan for 5 million. And we had 5 fantastic seasons out of him. He was an absolute man mountain. But this year, it's caught up with him. Catches up with everybody. It's just the way it is. Tim Howard has been absolutely fantastic for Everton. You know, coming from United. Yeah, he's made mistakes, you know, but once those mistakes become more frequent, he needs to go out because he's been dropped or it's time to replace. I think you've hit the nail on the head in terms of saleability. I think now is probably the best time for him to go. I think New York City would be a good...
I think Red Bulls would be probably the best place for him to
somewhere
go.
In New York.
Well, it's in New Jersey, so it'd help him out more that way.
That's what I'm saying, it's his home. And I think you're right, I think 2 young goalkeepers. Roberto Martinez has got, if he's going to start doing what he said he was, which is, you know, building a team for the future, there's 4 or 5, 6 of those players that need replacing. Start with your goalkeeper, Sylvan Distan, Leon Osman, Stephen Pienaar. It starts now, doesn't it, that process? If you can get this Nyland in from Mould, and then you've got a 24-year-old goalkeeper and a 22-year-old goalkeeper, that's the perfect start. And then, you know, you build your team through that way, and then everyone will buy into that. You know, he's building a young, hungry, fresh team. And I think, you know, that's the way to go.
Thomas Mara did say on Twitter that this Ireland is ready for the Premier League as well. And so we'll wait and see on that one. Just finally on this game, I mean, substitutions as well. We've said the last few weeks we can't understand the substitutions, but they were a lot better in this game. There was probably maybe more choice, or players a little bit fitter now. Javier will come in as well. I thought Kone could have possibly come on maybe a little bit 5 or 10 minutes. Because as soon as you come on, you've seen what he gives you. He gives you someone who will go front and can hold the ball up so well. Just that one time.
It was ridiculous to hold the ball and come to him in the air, and he's knocked it up, and the 2 of them are climbing over him. He just backs in, the pair of them fall over. He ends up trying to get a shot away, gets a throw, and you could just see them 2 centre-halves thinking, oh, we've got someone who's just going to elbows back into us now. It'd be fantastic. If we can keep him fit, doing that. I think you're right. I think Roma just had the other one where he stepped over and hit the side net. His legs were looking a little bit leggy. Kone can come on. I'd actually like to see him with Lukaku.
Well, I was going to say that. I thought maybe 15 minutes to go, Lukaku could have shifted over to one of the wings and played the right side or left side, and Kone could have been that player to hold the ball. I was probably more worried because I was thinking Palace were going to offer a little bit more, but actually, as you said there, towards the end, we were the one playing on the break. You know, we seen McGeady had a good chance, and then he had another chance, which I've no idea what he was thinking.
You see, that for me, that 3 seconds with Aidan McGeady in a nutshell. He chased the ball, that was going out. Great slide tackle, wins it, gets up, and he's got a man square of him, and just, I don't even know what he'd done. That's the
one thing that lets him. He's probably got all the tricks in the bag. He's probably as good as anybody at step overs and all the other
1v1. Yeah, he's fantastic. But I think the problem with him is if you could sit with him, you'd just say beat the man and cross the ball. Yeah. Don't do anything else. Don't try and go around 5 men. Do your trick and put a delivery in. And if he does that, you centre forward
without thinking about it as well. Without thinking, because it was clear that on that chance there he'd had far too much time to think about it. I mean, sometimes there you just smash it into the box.
It's a low.
Just smash it and see where it ends.
Because the one he put in for Lukaku just a couple of minutes earlier, just a fraction ahead of Ron, but they're the kind of balls you can't defend.
Yeah. He's a strange player, McGee. He's such a strange player. As you say, sometimes he gives you something brilliant, but sometimes just by, as we said earlier, just keeping the shape of the team, he does well. But so I thought, as I say, I thought Kone was done that job, and it's like to see him do that a lot more, because I think it would take a lot of pressure off Lukaku, because that's not his natural game. We've seen that second half. He can't hold the ball up. He's not very good at it.
He just wants to run with the ball, doesn't he? He wants to run onto it or run a plays. He doesn't want to do that dirty work.
And when he gets on the wing, left or right, he can do that. We've seen that where the one he was from early, where Naismith wins the ball brilliantly and just gives him it in the channel. He runs at the defender. The defender just hasn't got a clue, and I say hit the side net. He could do that a lot more if he's got a target man maybe ahead.
See, the way we lined up and playing it almost a 4-4-2, Kone would have been ideal, would be with Lukaku, because you've got someone who'll keep you the ball and let Romelu on either side of him. Obviously, it's talking about discipline. I think it probably work with Oviedo on the left because he'll naturally tuck in. It's just having someone to give you that cover on the right-hand side. But it's certainly something that he could think about, because I don't want to see Kone 5 minutes on the end of every game, because he can offer you a lot back and cause so many problems, you know.
Yeah, okay. Well, a victory, 3 points. That's exactly the boost we needed. All the other teams pretty much below us lost. Unfortunately, most of the teams above us won as well. But that's not. Let's just get away from. Let's just get away from where we are and constant. You know, that's the main job at the moment. Just get away from that area. It is. You know, it is deadline day. It's not. If you're watching this, you already know what's going on. But not much seems to be going on at Everton at the moment. Samuel Eto'o's left the club and looks like he's already having trouble with his new club. So let's. God knows how that'll end up. But I think that might make it clear where fault lay on this one.
I think I don't think you'd have to dig too deep to find out, you know, whether Samuel is easy to get on with or not. I think the problem is, I think
he might be easy to get on with. I think that's not necessarily the case. I think it's just that there are toys and there is a plan.
I think the problem is if you don't play him every game. Think of Les Dawson. For our older guests, think of Les Dawson, a washing line and talking over fences while someone's in the other room.
No one.
It's not that far.
No one of the YouTube generation is going to get that. But I think
of Neighbours, you know, Hollyoaks, and when people are talking and someone's in the other room. Anyway.
No idea.
No, I don't know where it was going with that. I was just trying to bring it down to the demographic.
Just think of dead sneaky people talking about behind other people's back. That person's back being the manager.
I think, to be honest, I think it's more like 11, 10-year-olds when they're not getting a game. You know,
listen, he's of an age. He wants to play, but he doesn't like double training sessions. That's very, very clear. After you've just been beaten on your debut 5-1, that's quite clear. So
anyway,
let's just leave it with that. Right, it is Merseyside Derby coming up on Saturday, and do you know what? I don't care. I'm not bothered. Derbies don't bother me anymore. When you've been in Wembley and you've played against the worst Liverpool side ever, and you've bottled it in the second half to get to a cup final. Then
and you see Mandy Carroll,
when you see Distan giving back passes and Coleman kicking people, he's got no point in kicking.
No reason.
Watching the worst Liverpool side probably there's been for a long time, even though Liverpool fans will probably disagree with that.
Deadlocked at 1-1, and it can go either way. You bring my guy on.
Oh yeah, when you're winning, when you're winning the game 1-0 and everything's going your way at Wembley and you're making chances and you've got Magai Gay giving stupid passes away and people come out second half and just bottle it, then you don't worry about derbies. You don't worry about derbies after that. In fact, I probably haven't worried about derbies since I was in the 80s.
I always worry about them because I just think every year it hurts every time.
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. What doesn't bother me anymore.
Sat here in a 5-0 home defeat.
The point is though,
it always scars you, mate, for life.
The point being though, this is a game where I don't think anyone really has to worry too much about local pride. It's not about local pride. It's about us trying to win to get to a comfortable position, and it's for them. It's about getting into the Champions League spaces. That's all it's about. Yes, it'll. You know, we were here 12 months ago, and we'd just been beaten 4-0, and the pain hurt for about a couple of hours when the realisation was actually we are going in the right direction. Now this year, it's about just getting 3 points. It's not about, you know, whatever, going in the next day to work or whatever. It's about just getting those 3 points or getting that point and trying to keep momentum going.
Yeah, look, I'm always going to worry about them because I always like to win. And we haven't, in my lifetime, we haven't won anywhere near enough derbies. So I'm not going to be saying that it doesn't bother me whether we lose it or not, because it does. I kind of understand.
It's not that it doesn't bother me losing. It doesn't bother me.
Doesn't mean
what comes with it when you lose. To me, it's about losing. That's the worst thing.
I think last year, I think you're right. You know, the 4-0 hurt, but I was quite pleased it wasn't 8 because it should have been. But we were going in the right direction. I think this year both teams are nowhere near where they thought they'd be. I think Liverpool thought they'd be challenging for the league, although I didn't. And I think we all believed Everton would be challenging for the Champions League place, and we're clearly not going to be anywhere near them spaces. So different year, different goals. For us, I think I think getting the results Saturday has helped. I think we don't have to worry about anything Saturday because the crowd will get the players up. The occasion, if you want to call it an occasion, the players will know what's expected of them. The crowd, we don't have to worry about them booing players or being quiet because it won't be like that. Yeah. And let's face it, these aren't all that. We played much better than...
No, I agree.
They were better last year when we had Luis Suarez, so the Liverpool are there for the taking. However, we are, because our confidence is very
well, it's what it comes down to. I mean, Sturridge is back now. I mean, they've been crying out for him. I mean, they've been playing really well, I think, the last 3 months. They just haven't had anyone to finish it off. They're in probably I think they are the form team in the Premier League at the moment. They've had a decent run of games to put that together, but that's sometimes what you need. That's sometimes what you need. Against the tougher teams, they haven't had anyone to finish the games off for them. I think when they went to Old Trafford, that was quite obvious when they had a good spell of the game, just didn't have a striker. But as we mentioned there, Sterling's come back, he looks refreshed. Now Sturridge is back, he comes back with a goal, even though I thought it was a terrible goalkeeping by Adrian on Saturday. But he's back and he's a top-class goal scorer. Now whether they resist the temptation to start him and maybe bring him off the bench, who knows? They've got a cup game against Bolton as well in between, so that's going to be interesting to see, you know. But they're going to go looking for goals, and we're going to think the first thing we've got to do is keep a clean sheet. So I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic. And I think what Roberto Martinez is probably going to look to do is do what he did on Saturday, get as tight as he can. Be interesting to see if James McCarthy is anywhere near this squad. He's going to try and keep it tight and try and hit them on the break, because at the back they're still not great. I mean, they've kept a lot more clean sheets lately, but they're still not great at the back.
But that's basically because the keeper's been having worldies. I mean, they won at Aston Villa a couple of weeks ago, and Villa still won the game. The chances they had second half, Mingele was fantastic. I think you're always going to get chances against Liverpool, like you will against Everton. I think just naturally the way they're set up, the way the manager set them up. I think it'll help Everton that they'll come and just think they can blow us away again. That'll give us massive incentive, because they will be wide open. And I think it's about taking chances. I personally this week, I think I will play McCarthy if he's got a chance of playing, but not at the exception of Gareth Barry or Bezic. I play the three of them, like the three of them played at Anfield. I think if you have almost a flat three, Liverpool are very good at moving the ball around quickly in that final third and little 1-2s, and I think you've got to have players who can match that everywhere. So I think I would be tempted to play Lukaku up and have Naismith just off him, and then the other four, Morales, and then the three, almost with Bezic as a right-sided midfield player, but tucking in so that we can get in.
Who would you have come out the side?
McGeady. For the simple reason that the biggest thing for Everton to do is stay in the game. I think get through the first 20-25 minutes and grow into the game. With Morales' pace alongside Lukaku, we can cause them problems. McCarthy will get about them. We've still got the two full-backs who can cause anyone problems. We don't want to go and be too open. The other thing with Aidan McGeady is against good sides who play the 1-2, he doesn't track back enough. He runs back, but he doesn't go into the right areas. I don't think it's not his natural game. I think Bezic will give you that insurance in front of either him or McCarthy, in front of Coleman. I think it would make us competitive in that middle area.
Would you be tempted to do what we did last year against Arsenal and play actually Naismith as the striker and maybe shift Lukaku wide? Because
he's done that at Anfield, didn't he?
But I think at home, I think there's differences in where you set up, and obviously against the opposition. I think if he tried to do what he did last season, certainly against Arsenal, a little bit like against Man United as well, try and fill that midfield, make sure that they don't have time, because they're going to come with loads of confidence. They're going to be the team thinking we're the ones in form. They are. I mean, at the end of the day, we've only won one game in 2 months. I mean, we're not. We've won one game. Let's not be patting ourselves on the back here. Yes, we've got better.
If Liverpool were playing anyone else, you'd look at it and go, Liverpool will win. Yeah. If they're flying, they're struggling, it's a Liverpool win, but it's a Merseyside derby.
We have been getting better. I mean, obviously, since the City game, West Ham City.
Since Hull, we've improved. Yeah. Every game it's got.
I don't think it could get any lower than Hull.
No, but it's what we're saying is you still got to climb them steps, haven't you? It's okay going, no, we'll get better, but we have done. But I think if you think back to Anfield earlier in the season, we went there with Naismith as the striker. We had Morales wide left, we had Ron wide right. and he had the flat three behind him, Besic, McCarthy and Barry, and it worked a treat really. Liverpool, they came out, they had a couple of shots early on, didn't really do much after that, and I think here with the crowd, with that very, very same formation, we could cause them a lot more problems than we did at Anfield. We've got to stay in the game. In against these, don't forget it, these normally here come flying out the blocks. The last couple of seasons, they've scored within the first 5 minutes of games. You know, so we've got to make sure that we're tight, get through the first 20, 25 minutes of it. Then it's a flat game, and then it's a game where either of you can pick it off. It's no good. Under Moyes, he'd have everyone behind the ball, right the first half an hour, try and get a set piece. This fella won't do it, so I think if he plays that three, like you said, maybe Lukaku on Moreno, like he done at Anfield, let Naismith occupy the middle two and let Morales run it.
Do you think that's almost his way of doing that though, where you're sort of saying that he won't do what, you know, we've seen Moyes do in the past, where he'll just put out, this is his way of doing that, but instead of using defensive players, he uses attacking players to do it. So you somehow putting Lukaku on their fullback, basically that we go forward instead of letting him come forward, whereas in the past we'd have a kicker on him. You know, someone just make sure if he goes past, just boot him, kind of thing. You know, I think that's,
you know, the Brom's not going to really slap back into the half.
No, he didn't last season when he played out there, but what he did is he kept the fullback occupied enough.
Well, he done it when we played at Anfield. That Moreno was their best, had been Liverpool's best player up until that point. He'd scored at Spurs. He'd done really well, and everyone was saying he's a danger man. Lukaku went on him. I don't remember the kid, apart from he should have given a penalty away. He booted Lukaku early on. It was a pen. He didn't really have any impact on the game. You would have thought at Anfield he would have done. So that could be in Martinez's mind, thinking, well, hang on, that worked at treat at Anfield. Let's do that here at home with our.
And obviously that day as well, we lost to Ellis, so you know, we didn't have it on both sides, and that threw us out a little bit. I think we've got to do what we did on Saturday. We've got to set up, making sure we're solid. Because at the end of the day, a point's not the worst result in the world. We don't have to fly out and try and get the 3 points, you know, and not be, you know, worried that we're going to lose the 3 points. Let's be solid. We've got a trip to Chelsea coming up as well. You know, it doesn't get any easier, but if we are picking up results.
I think the thing about it is, I think if we'd have all said on Friday night we get 4 points from Palace and Liverpool, it'd be decent return. We've won the Palace game. Of course we want to win. I'm not saying we don't, you know, and I think we've got a chance of winning the game, but if we come out of that with a draw, everyone's talking about this month, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, we can beat Leicester at home. Once this month's out the way, we've got a hell of a run of games where they're all winnable.
Yeah.
They're all winnable because we've got United and Spurs at home.
Yeah.
Other than that, every other team's mid.
But what I think what we didn't want to do is come out of this month going, they're not only are they all winnable, but they have to win. That's the main thing, isn't it? I was looking at fixture list the other day and saying, looking at those teams and thinking, yeah, we've got Sunderland at home, you know, we've got Burnley at home, we'll win them, but it's not, you don't want to create that atmosphere where it's like, you have to win these games, because that allows teams to just come and go, we'll just do what West Brom did, we'll just set up. Lucky enough, I mean, those teams will need the points as well, but if we can get out this month with, you know, a win here and a draw there, then you go into those games going, win that, then we've sorted this season out. We get out of this season, hopefully with a good run in the Europa League as well. Don't forget we've got that coming up as well. That might be the little silver lining, who knows. And as our form's picking up, we take that into the Europa League. Hopefully it might start working. I mean, you know, fingers crossed, that's how it all works.
You know, like you said before about the Jagielka clearance, you know, in that game, it could be something massive, you know, things like that do turn seasons, you know, and you never know until it's done. You know, Phil Neville tackle on Ronaldo, back pass, Kevin Brock's back pass, you know, for Anthony. Little things at the time, it don't seem massive. You look back and go, from them, we seem to go on and on. These games will be difficult, you know, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, they'll be very, very difficult, but, you know, if we can get, and it's just putting, at the moment for us, it's just adding points onto the board. If we beat, you know, draw with Liverpool, draw at Chelsea, beat Leicester, lose at Arsenal, you go, take that decent run result, then going into them next set of games where it's Burnley and QPR and Sunderland and West Ham, you know, them kind of teams you can get results against.
One final question before we go. If Tim Howard's fit on Saturday morning, what do you think Roberto Martinez would do? I know what you do, but what would you think Roberto Martinez would do?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, because because Joel's playing that well and the team have had clean sheets and are winning. Have just won a game. They're unbeaten for a few games. It's a big risk.
Well, let me tag a couple, one or maybe two questions. If he does drop Joel, what does that say for Joel's Everton career?
Nothing. He just says he's Tim Howard's number one, and he's experienced. Joel will say, right, okay, I've played 7, 8 games, got a bit of experience, I know what's expected of me. This fella's getting on. You know, I just have to work hard.
Is that the same answer if he leaves Joel in then for Tim Howard? He's been playing well, so I've got to leave him in. That's
what it should be. No player should go out of it. I suppose the same with James McCarthy. Everyone was screaming for him to play at Palace at the weekend because he's had 3 days training, but why should you? The only way you become successful as a football team is every player has to play well to keep the shirt, and you should never go out and come back in for no reason. If you're out, if you miss one game and you're playing brilliantly every week, fair enough, that one game, but if you've been 3, 4, 5, 6 and are doing well, if you start getting dropped because there's other fellas back, what does it say for you? And then it sends the message out for everyone else who are vying for a place. It's happened with Lukaku and things like that for the odd game. You know, he's done well and gone back out. What does that say? You've got to give people the incentive. If you perform in that shirt, it's yours. And if you do well, you stay in. And then everybody knows what's expected of them. And it doesn't matter whether you've played 400 games or scored 30 goals. If this kid comes in and bangs goals, and you have to wait. You wait your turn, and that's how it should be, and that's how successful clubs are.
Good stuff, right? Don't forget, gonna get in touch with us on Twitter. It's at ToffeeTV1. Also, the comments. Make sure you put comments, just anything, just comments. Subscribe, box up there as well to subscribe. We do the hangouts in the week. If you want to get involved with the hangouts, come on Twitter, let us know, give us all your details. We'll try and get you on the hangout. We're trying to work out all the kinks. We'll get you on there as well. We try and do one of them once a week as well, so they're worth getting involved in. Anything else, let us know what we need to be doing. If you hate Baz's shirt, if you want him to button it down a bit more, see a bit more chest, let us know. Anything else, get in touch with us, and we'll catch you next week.